We wouldn't be able to keep this archive going without your support. Donate online today at wyxr.org.
And here we go on this Monday evening. Yes. It is the 22nd day of January 2024, 6 o'clock straight up, which means it's time for Real Talk Memphis. Great to be back here, of course, after a week of weeks that all of us have had with the snow and with the ice. And now it is raining outside. But guess what? Everything looks like it's settling down. We are starting to remove ourselves from the deep chill that we have been under for the past week. I hope that it has been good to you. I hope that you haven't had too many issues or difficulties or, having to take your car to the shop or whatever happens out there in terms of all of this losing power. I hope that everything went okay for you. Thankfully, at my house, everything went fine, never lost power. Got out and didn't have too many issues or concerns when I went out. Streets are a lot better now than they have been. I think all of us would agree on that. But it is great to be here this evening. We are once again flying with the Eagles, so to speak. Everything looking good, feeling good. Great to be back in the air chair on this Monday evening, and we have a great show for you tonight. So I hope that you are tuning in or will tune in and check us out. There are many ways that you can get this live piece of radio broadcasting. The first way, of course, is right now on the radio, if you're listening on that side, 91.7 on your FM dial, WYXR. We are on live. We are also on live on the WYXR app. You can catch us on the TuneIn app as well. And we are broadcasting tonight on Facebook Live. And when the show posts the next day or so, you will be able to see us wherever it is you get your podcast, because we're actually a podcast. So that's a good thing. It will also be on YouTube as well. So as we move into the show tonight, I think we have a good one for you. Hopefully, we'll actually be here consistently for the next few weeks if we don't have any weather issues or other issues. I know we were here 1 week, and then, of course, last week we had all the bad weather and we couldn't get around, and so this week we're back. But on tonight's show, I hope that you think it'll be a good show. We have the mayor, the honorable mayor of the city of Memphis, joining us in just a few minutes. He is Mr. Paul Young. And a little bit later on, we have the superintendent of education for Memphis and Shelby County Schools. Her name is Toni Williams. She will be joining us as well. And a bit later on, we'll have a young man who is just plain smart. This kid he's a Scholar Award winner in science, and his name is Evan Wu. And we will talk to Evan about his accomplishments as well. Not a bad lineup. Sit back, relax. Let me do the work for the next hour or so, and you sit back and you just chill and take it easy and enjoy yourself. But as we prepare to start the show, as we always do, we like to salute folks who are celebrating that trip around the sun. When you celebrate another trip around the sun, guess what? It's a pretty big deal. Wouldn't you say so? Yeah, I'd say so too. So we like to shout you out and let everybody know that this is your very special day. But I can't do that without saying, hit it, Bryn. Happy birthday is going out to the following folks. Councilwoman Jerry Green is celebrating her birthday today. Happy birthday, Jerry. Willie Banks is celebrating his birthday today. Happy birthday to Gabby Williams. To my guy, Craig Little celebrating his birthday today. Y'all know Craig. Doing great work out in the community. Happy birthday going out to Julian Forrest and to Marilyn Flick celebrating her birthday today, as is Kitty Kathy Taylor Jerry. And one final special happy birthday going out to someone we all know and love. If you know anything about the Barcades and their former lead singer, Larry D, as he calls himself these days, Larry Dotson is celebrating his birthday today. Happy birthday to you, sir, and happy birthday to everybody who was celebrating, whether it was over the weekend, today, or this week. From all of us here at Real Talk Memphis, we wish you a very happy birthday, and we look forward to being with you next year for your next trip around the sun. Thank you, Brand. Appreciate it. And Larry D celebrating a birthday today. Very, very good. So in news and notes, and first off the top here, I want to acknowledge a death. Dexter King, the youngest son of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., died today. He was 62 years old. Apparently, he had been battling prostate cancer, and he succumbed to that earlier today out in Malibu, California. As again, he was 62 years of age. He was the son. If you didn't come to the name didn't necessarily come to mind, he was the son of Dr. King and Coretta Scott King that looked the most like Dr. King. I mean, he was a spitting image of his father. So anyway, our condolences to the King family, and may his memory always be a blessing. All right, so we were talking about the weather. Let's talk about the weather. First we had to deal with the ice, and we had to deal with the snow, and many people got, 3, 4, 5, 6 inches, depending on where you live in the county out here. Well, now, on the back end of that, there is a water issue. Water pressure issue, of course. Now all MLGW customers are under a boil water advisory and a boil water notice. Now, the one thing about all of this is that you don't have to restrict water usage. They have, you don't have to preserve the water or drip the water, because that's going to help the low water pressures. Earlier this afternoon, we heard that pressures are starting to rise throughout the city and the county, which is a good news thing. And maybe by Thursday, depending on the testing, we will be out of the boil water situation. They advise that you boil water 1 minute before you drink it or consume it in any kind of way. So we will keep an eye on that situation and let you know how it transpires. Let me see here. Oh, by the way, the Slave Haven, which is a civil rights museum in our city, has been here for a very long time, run by Elaine Turner, caught fire yesterday afternoon. And of course, sustained about $70,000 worth of damage. No loss of life, no injuries associated with this. Obviously, some smoke damage and some water damage, and it's going to take a bit of time to fix it and repair it. But again, it'll be down for a while, and we will keep an eye on that and let you know what is happening. So we're in January, and this is a peak month for sickness. We've been telling you off and on about the three situations in terms of illness that a lot of people are dealing with, which is COVID, which is RSV, and which is the flu. Well, Tennessee is the state with the highest level, which means it's very high, of flu illness activity in the entire country, right here in this state. So, once again, flu is a big deal. A lot of flu cases in and around the country, but in particular in this state. I had COVID earlier, right around Christmas. And then let me just tell you something. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't suggest it. That's all I can tell you. This version of COVID, and I did have my booster and I had my flu shot on the front end of that. But this version of COVID is like a bad cold. And it really put me down for a few days, and I was thankful that I had the booster because at least it kept me from having to go in the hospital, and that is always a good thing. Let me see here. What else we have? Okay. Back in July, and I don't know if you all remember this or not, the city of Memphis. Remember there was a big recruiting drive, as there has been for a while now, for Memphis police officers. We need more officers on the force. Well, in July, Mayor Strickland's administration, they sent some folks to Puerto Rico to recruit officers. I never quite understood the connection between Puerto Rico and Memphis police. But in any event, they sent about 15 folks on a fact-finding mission to go down to Puerto Rico and try to recruit some folks to come here and be bilingual police officers. Well, that trip didn't do very well. As a matter of fact, there were 0 recruits from that trip to Puerto Rico. 15 employees from the city went down there, and guess who paid for it? Yes, indeed, taxpayers at the expense of $50,000. That trip, with flights and meals and tips and hotel rooms and whatever else, cost taxpayers $50,000, and not one recruit did we hire for that. Now I'll let you work on that one all you want to, but in any event, that was the story in the paper today that I'm sure many of you probably saw. And in sports news, of course, the University of Memphis Tigers played yesterday. They played Tulane and they lost by 2. That's the second loss in a row. And the Grizzlies, who are in Toronto tonight playing, they continue to lose. So, and I honestly think our season is a bust. So if you want to go out there and just kind of watch them and hang out, you can do that. That's news and notes for this Monday evening. Very happy that you are with us. We're going to get right into it. When we come back after our first break, we are going to talk to the Honorable Mayor of the city of Memphis. His name is Paul Young. My name is Chip Washington. You know who you are. We'll take our first break, and we'll be right back.
If you like Real Talk, here's a way you can get involved. Do you have a show topic idea or suggestion? Want to be considered a guest or have a guest idea? Then send Chip a message on his Real Talk show page and you can be a part of the Real Talk experience. So as he always says, go out and tell somebody. We'll be right back.
Located on the second floor of the Crosstown Concourse, the Memphis Listening Lab is a curated collection of music and music history that is open to the public 6 days a week. Vinyl Happy Hour happens every Friday between 3 and 5 p.m., where guest DJs from around the community will spin some of their favorite records. More information and a complete listing of upcoming events at memphislisteninglab.org.
Shannon and Cecilia here. Do you love stories featuring community changemakers in Memphis?
Don't miss Just Buffin',
A feel-good podcast found online in the WYXR Podcast Network.
Access all our podcasts at wyxr.org.
Get Real Talk on the TuneIn mobile app under WYXR, and he's now streaming live on Facebook. And you can also catch a rebroadcast on YouTube. Just put WYXR in the search box and hit subscribe. Now back to more Real Talk with Chip Washington.
And welcome back to Real Talk Memphis on this Monday evening in the city, rainy Monday evening in the city. Chip with you. And as I alluded to at the top of the show, we are very happy and fortunate to have our new mayor, newly elected mayor of the city of Memphis. He is the Honorable Paul Young. And Mayor, Mr. Mayor, it is great to see you. Thanks for coming on the show tonight. I really appreciate it.
Always, man. I'm glad to be here with you, as always.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So, you've been in office now just about a month, barely, right? Just a few
days.
Yeah.
2 days.
Yeah, there you go. And boy, you've had a lot to deal with this storm, and in particular this snowstorm, and a lot of everything that goes along with that, of course. And it looks like we're starting to slowly come out of the end of that, which is good. How has that experience been for you? It seemed like things worked pretty well. Would you say?
Yeah, I think overall things have gone well. We have an incredible team here at the city of Memphis, and so everybody just jumped right in and started taking action, doing all the things we can to make sure people were safe. We set up our warming centers. We had teams that were out doing all they can to clear the roads and the streets, the major thoroughfares. I know there was some complaints about the neighborhood streets not being able to be as cleared as people would like them, but we try and do what we can with limited resources. Our folks have been working nonstop for the last week and a half, and so I just applaud them, and I'm honored to be a part of the team with them.
Well, absolutely that, and congratulations. Your audio is a little, I don't know, it's kind of a little tinny, a little in and out. I don't know, maybe it needs to be adjusted or something, but I just want everybody to be able to hear you okay in terms of our conversation. So, right after you were elected, one of the things that you wanted to accomplish was some of the appointments that you made, and one in particular, of course, the reappointment of the current police chief, C.J. Davis. You ran into a bit of an obstacle with that in their first meeting that they had in reference to it. She was voted down 7-6. And you have been steadfast. You said from the very beginning that this was the person that you wanted to lead the police department. You still feel good about the decision that you made. When the city council made their decision initially in all of this, were you a bit surprised?
I wouldn't say I was surprised. I mean, I knew it was going to be a lot of different opinions and thoughts. I mean, I often say our police chief is probably more popular than the mayor in the city of
Yeah.
So people definitely have opinions. We've had some high-profile incidents take place over the last couple of years, so I definitely get it. What I have tried to implore upon all of our council members and the public at large is that she has not had an opportunity to work for me, Paul Young, as mayor of Memphis directly, and I want to give her an opportunity to rise to the occasion. She's incredibly smart. I believe in her. I believe she can get the work done, and we have a lot of work to do. Selecting a police chief is not a small task. If she is not selected, then we have to go the course of going through a national search and finding the right person to lead our department. And I feel like we have an incredible leader right now. We just need to get straight to work. And, once we get past these appointments, that's what we'll do.
I think I heard her say at one particular point during the questioning with the council members that there seemed to be a bit of a disconnect between the officers themselves and the leadership, and she said, I want to make sure I'm correct in this, that there was an issue of discipline. She's changing some things around. She's doing some things differently, and she said that a lot of them weren't receptive to those changes, which makes things pretty difficult when you don't have the rank and file to support the leadership. No.
No, this is 100% true. I mean, we got to make sure that we get the rank and file to believe in and buy into all of the things that we want to achieve. And one of the things that I've talked to her about, and I've also talked to many officers about, is that a part of what we're going to be doing is making sure that we change the way we communicate, both internally and externally. We want people to know the things that we are doing, understand what the end goal is, and figure out how we can get more buy-in as we make the changes that need to be made. And that's a communication issue. That's one of the things that I believe our administration is going to be helpful in helping to address. And I know it's something that she understands and she's up to the task of doing.
Would you say that in terms of the overall public, and you mentioned it at the top, the community itself, and of course, when you ran, one of the things that people really appreciated about you was the fact that this is not a me thing, this is the we thing, and we're all in this together. So the community buy-in is extraordinarily important. Would you say that there is a bit of a disconnect, though, in terms of the trust factor between the community and the police department, given some of the incidents in the past?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's no question that there are issues with trust between the community and policing. That's something that we're going to be working very hard to repair and damage. And it's not a new thing. Like, that didn't just start
right
with this chief. I think there's something that has been historical, particularly in African-American communities like the ones that I grew up in. But, we know it's an onus of responsibility for us to gain that trust. And that's why when things like the ordinances that were approved last year in response to the tragedy with Tyree Nichols, that's why I am supportive of those things, because they were approved by our city council in an effort to repair broken, damaged relationships.
one of the things that came out of the Tyree Nichols tragedy was an investigation being launched by the Department of Justice into the patterns and practices of the Memphis Police Department. And I'm sure, as you said, you've had many conversations with Chief Davis, in reference to that. What would you like to see as an end result of that? I guess depending on what types of recommendations the Department of Justice has, but what would you like to see as the end result of that?
I think the most important thing is for us to continue to be proactive, to make sure that we are doing the things that we need to do to make sure our police department is following the 21st century policing practices in advance of them even coming out with any of their findings. I want the DOJ to see that we have a police department that's already headed down the right path. I want them to acknowledge some of the actions that we're already taking, and certainly any recommendations they have, we want to be responsive to their recommendations. But at the end of the day, we need to have a collaborative process, which is part of the reason that I'm also recommending Chief Davis, because she's been in the conversation. She's been in dialogue with the Department of Justice. And it's really important that we have a collaborative approach. Going through a search for a new police chief creates more instability within the department. We want them to know that we have a stable police force, a stable police leadership team that's ready to take action to do the things that we need to do as a community to show that MPD is headed in the right direction.
One of the things that you stated that you wanted to have, and I guess you're in the process of selecting, is someone to work kind of along with her, public safety. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so a public safety advisor, someone that will work directly within the mayor's office. So this is someone who is outside of the Memphis Police Department that's helping us with all of the public safety related matters. And the reason that's important is because when we talk about public safety, we often talk about the police, but policing is only one aspect of public safety. Police respond to things when they happen. We need to have a proactive approach where we're actually intervening and preventing folks from headed down these wrong paths. And so what I will from our public safety advisor is someone who's going to help coordinate with the other systems, with the nonprofits that are doing intervention work, with the courts that are, handing down rulings on cases, with the district attorney, with all of the state legislators that are coming down with law. There's such a broad spectrum of things that impact public safety. And I need somebody on my team who's thinking about it comprehensively every day, not just the law enforcement side.
And speaking of the collaborative effort, we have seen and we have heard from many factions, from the district attorney to the Shelby County juvenile court judge, Sugarman, and many of the concerned citizens, the school board members, and a lot of other folks, about trying to get a handle on this juvenile crime that we're dealing with these days, and how to be able to communicate with these young people. And I've heard you say this in the past too. In order to be able to have a conversation of understandings, you have to meet these young people where they are. But a lot of a lot of folks are talking about it, and I know you've been talking about it as well. But do you really think that you can galvanize all these forces together? You having these meetings, now with a lot of these officials every week. But what do you hope to gain from all of these folks in the same room at the same time moving forward?
Well, I think ultimately when it comes to our young people can't be what they can't see. And so we need our whole community to step up and show them different alternatives. I said this earlier, that our young people are making logical decisions. And sometimes that sounds crazy, but if you have the two options of somebody over here getting it the wrong way versus not getting it at all, then you just go get it however you can. And so we need them to understand that there are different paths. I also believe that it's important for us as leaders, for the whole spectrum, as we have these conversations, it can't just be all of us government officials sitting in the room coming up with these ideas. We need to talk to the subjects of our conversation. We need to engage young people as a part of the solution. And so those are things that you're going to see from this administration as we move forward.
Finally, before I let you go, back to Chief Davis, do you feel pretty confident that in the period of time that has passed between the first meeting and the meeting tomorrow, that there will be a more unified meeting of the minds with the city council in reference to her reappointment?
Well, we're sure working hard. I mean, I don't want to put odds on how the council will respond, but we've been working hard. We've been having a lot of conversations, and what I want to implore upon the council is that they have a partner in the mayor's office, and if things don't go as we need them to go, we will make a change. And I need them to trust that I am going to be the partner that I say I am.
The Honorable Mayor Paul Young, Mayor of the City of Memphis, Tennessee. Mayor, thank you so much for taking the time to visit with us tonight, and our listeners really appreciate you, and I look forward to talking to you down the road during your administration.
Most definitely. I appreciate you, brother. Have a good one.
You too, man. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Mayor Paul Young, ladies and gentlemen, and you heard what he had to say about the future of law enforcement and the future of our city as a whole. So I'll leave it to you to decide what you think about all of that. As we go to our first break, and when we come, not our first, is this our first? This is our second break. When we come back, we will talk about another aspect of all of this with the superintendent of education for Memphis and Shelby County Schools. Her name is Toni Williams. My name is Chip. You know who you are. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
If you like Real Talk, here's a way you can get involved. Do you have a show topic idea or suggestion? Want to be considered a guest or have a guest idea? Then send Chip a message on his Real Talk show page and you can be a part of the Real Talk experience. So as he always says, go out and tell somebody. We'll be right back.
The On Stage at the Halloran Center season presents the Memphis Songwriter Series, hosted by Mark Eggers Stewart. Mark and his musical guests take audiences on a journey behind the music, sharing personal stories and introducing new works. The third event of the season is Thursday, February 15th, and will feature Susan Marshall, Andy Ratliff, and Reba Russell. More information at orpheum-memphis.com.
Programming on WYXR is brought to you by a grant from Arts Memphis, who has been working behind the scenes for 60 years to grow the foundation of Memphis arts.
Get Real Talk on the TuneIn mobile app under WYXR, and he's now streaming live on Facebook. And you can also catch a rebroadcast on YouTube. Just put WYXR in the search box and hit subscribe. Now back to more Real Talk with Chip Washington.
And welcome back to Real Talk Memphis on this Monday evening in the city. Chip with you, and I'm glad you are along for the ride. And I'm very happy to have our next guest with us. She is someone who advocates every day for the children of our city and our county, and I really appreciate her being here. This is the first time she's been on this show. We're going to have to change that. But please welcome to the show the Superintendent of Education for Memphis and Shelby County Schools. She is Toni Williams. And Miss Toni, it is lovely to see you, and thank you for coming on the show tonight.
Are you kidding me? We're definitely going to have to change that. So I look forward to all of my invitations, Chip. I know that, look, we've been going back and forth with some of this snow and this weather, but definitely I'm proud to have an opportunity to speak with you this evening.
Well, thank you so much. I know it's been a bit busy for you. First things first, Toni, is there going to be school tomorrow for Memphis and Shelby County?
Listen, I have gotten so many text messages, so I am going to tell you, for your listeners that are my family and friends, please stop texting me. We are going to have school tomorrow. School is open and back in session tomorrow.
I am sure that a lot of folks are very happy to hear that, especially a lot of parents. Go back to school. Go back to school.
Yes,
absolutely.
yes. It's funny. I've just in passing, some of the parents are saying, listen, when are you guys going to open school? And some parents are actually saying, I'm enjoying my baby at home. So it's a little bit of a mix. But either way, Chip, we're just excited to have them back tomorrow. So yes. School is in session and open for all of us. There are a couple schools that we will maybe about 10 give out a late evening call because we're working with MLG&W just on that water pressure.
Sure.
But overall, we're updating parents. You can expect a text message.
Absolutely that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we sort of broke that here on the show. At least I'm going to claim that anyway. while the superintendent is here, absolutely. So, there have been, a lot of, there's always a lot of challenges, in terms of the job that you're doing. Let me just start at the beginning in terms of this school year. Overall, how would you say things have been going in terms of your agenda? And I want to get to an important press conference you held about 2 weeks ago. But just generally speaking, in terms of the curriculum and in terms of how things are going overall in the school district, how would you assess that?
You know what? This school year, I'm extremely excited. But Chip, I'll even take it back to the previous school year. I'm excited about some of the opportunities and the wins that we've had. We got 2 new high schools coming on board as well. The first in 10 years. That's your North Region High School out in the Fraser community.
Okay.
Your Cordova High School as well. We've had an opportunity to settle a long-standing dispute of the Germantown schools. Those are some wins. We had a historical teacher compensation. You can't do this work without the 6,000 teachers. So let me do a plug and a commercial break to say, teachers, I know you're coming back tomorrow. We're excited to have you, but we cannot do this work without you.
Shout out to the teachers. That's right.
Shout out to the teachers. Look, the battle is won in the classroom. And so we had a large historical investment or teacher compensation. And going into this year as well, those are some small wins, rather big wins, Chip. But going into this particular year, the agenda has been around infrastructure. Now, as we are struggling around the infrastructure of our city, I will be remiss to get on here and not talk about the infrastructure. We have over 160 schools, 200 facilities, and a lot of them are over 100 plus years old. So as we're trying to figure out pipes in our homes, we're trying to figure out pipes in schools.
Yeah.
So our students really deserve an opportunity to be in 21st century buildings. And so I'm always going to advocate for that. And that's this year's agenda, the funding and making sure that we continue the momentum of getting brand new schools and brand new infrastructure for our students and learning environments as well. Are
people in the position to be able to make that happen? Hearing you, I know that hearing and listening are two different things, but it is very important. A lot of our schools are very old in structure, and you have always been an advocate for saying, look, our children need to be in an environment for learning, and that is why this infrastructure situation is so critically important. But are the legislators listening to you? Are the people who write the checks supporting your effort?
I think so. Just think about it. The first of 2 new high schools.
That's big.
That's big.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So our county mayor definitely, he supported the transition of Germantown schools by giving upwards of $77 million, right?
Yes.
Then definitely coming behind that back to back and just advocating and sitting in these back rooms with county commissioners, school board members. They are definitely wanting us to move forward. But the biggest thing and the biggest challenge that I will always take on for accountability is really expressing the need. A lot of our legislators, they're saying your infrastructure is so large, Chip, that tell us a little bit about all communities, not just one community.
Right.
And that's one thing that I'm doing is going in all of these different 9 districts and talking to community leaders, business leaders, and really pulling parents, students to build out the advocacy of our infrastructure and really sit down with even city councilmen are on some of these committees alone. I know that Mayor Paul Young just left off, so definitely even having discussions with our newly elected mayor. And so I'm really excited about the promise and the hope that they will be writing some of these checks.
So, we have all been affected by the violence that we've seen in our city. Last year was a particularly bad year in terms of that. You had a press conference a couple of weeks back, and one of the most disheartening things made me pause that I heard you say was that you lost 22 students, school-age students so far. Last year going into now. And it's heartbreaking to hear that. And you issued a call to action. You had school board members and a lot of other folks standing behind you, with you, in support of you. Talk to me about what made you decide that it was time for you to step out now and say, look, we have a problem here that we need to take care of?
I think that as a leader, sometimes you get a little jaded. Chip, and I'll be honest with you, we're used to solving some of the problems in silos, and really attacking them. And I will say that I've had the opportunity to say, as the chief financial officer of the district, let me make sure that I am carving out, upwards of $22 million for a lot of the supports that's going in the classrooms, but also the social emotional supports like counselors, behavior specialists, right? Attendance task clerks to just make sure they're calling parents to bring, students into school. So we've come up with a myriad of supports to help parents and students with some of these issues that are poverty and crime related. But just think about it. We're working in silos. The city is working in a silo. The county is working in a silo. So we think that we're fixing these problems and adding solutions and resources to our city. But, just thinking about, all right, we done that in one fiscal year. We're talking to county leaders in another fiscal year, and we're just really trying to, make sure that we support our students. But then, Chip, think about it as we go into every board meeting and we call out the students' names. I'm seeing the same news stories that you're seeing around carjackings in the city, deaths of our students. And I got a little jaded at one point where I was sitting there and we do the Pledge of Allegiance and we do the moment of silence and we call out those names. And then I just woke up one night and I was like, God, this is not normal, having to call parents, having to say, my condolences, I'm sorry, and just really thinking about the support. So I for me, I wanted to bring light to that this is something that we deal with every single day.
Right.
And just wanting to call out the action that I saw business leaders taking action, but it was a reactive, Chip.
Yes.
So think about it. If you're going to put more police on the street, and I support that now. I support all actions that's being taken, but it's still more reactive. And you're not fixing the underlying issues of poverty, crime, and just really the mentorship. So my call of action is, hey, business leaders, you can sit and point and talk, but what are you doing? How are you ensuring that you're investing in our students and giving them job opportunities? Because when we do focus groups, we have a whole security department that sits down and does focus groups with our students. And we find that a lot of these issues and challenges are in the home and they need the additional support, whether it be financial support, whether that be emotional support, whether it be counseling. And so if you continue to be reactive, I definitely think that we'll, as a city and a community, still have some of the same challenges. And so definitely.
One of the things that you mentioned that is a very big deal here in our city and county is poverty. And that is one of the major challenges, for all of us here. In terms of the academic point of view, how big a deal is that to you?
Oh, man, are you kidding? Because if you think about poverty, education will change in anybody's aspect or life and produce another direction for either our students, their parents. And so it's so important we've made investments even in parental support at this point. So we're going back to ensuring that we offer education, adult education for parents. And so that is something that we've taken a turn to say, how do we, go ahead and support not just our students, but our parents as well? How do we give them wraparound support services? And so just thinking about where we are with students, Chip, I can go down a list of changes that we've made just in my tenure alone. We've increased advanced academics. A lot of people say that, some of our kids are not going to college. They may need an opportunity to have, what you would call back in the day, VOTEC, right?
Yeah,
and so
sure.
We're expanding our VOTEC programs or our CCTE programs. We received like a $40 million grant last year where we're making investments. And so we're offering, anywhere between electrician support, welding support, marketing, business, and some of our students are graduating with pilot licenses. And so for me, it's around ensuring that we meet our students where they are and offer those additional supports, whether it be a college path, whether it be a CCTE or a VOTEC path, and just making sure that we support not only our students, but our parents. So when you say, is it important to me? Listen, the hope of this community in Memphis depends on my 110,000 students. And so that's the importance of it all.
Success comes, on different roads, and the VOTEC in particular, that's a very big deal because not everybody is an academic scholar. I know I wasn't when I was in school. So, but I mean,
look at you now, sir.
Yeah, well, press a button here and talk here. But on the serious note, that is a wonderful commitment that you have made. Let me ask you this question: you've been superintendent now for a couple of years, right? At least.
It's been 16 months and count.
Okay, all right, close. Oh yeah, pretty close. What have you learned since you've been in this position?
Interesting. I could give you a whole list of things that I've learned from a political standpoint, from a financial standpoint of how to run a system. We have over a $2 billion budget. That's my background. But what I will tell you from a leadership standpoint, and I'll leave that one with you, and just the biggest thing of all is making sure that you prioritizing our students first in every single decision. Sometimes it could get political. Sometimes, there's self-interest from different interest groups. Mm-hmm. During the time that I've led, I will say, Chip, my number one priority has been our babies, our students, and making sure that ultimately, when I look back on this time, I can proudly say that with integrity that I've served these kids and put their interests first. And so that's the biggest thing for me in my leadership and what I've learned.
Well, I can tell you one thing. I've seen you and I've heard you, and you are nothing if you are not an advocate for these young folks. I mean, you really are a major advocate for them. And I'm just, I'm very proud of your effort. I have a teacher in my family. I've been teaching in these school systems for close to 40 years, and loves every bit of it. Even the tough days are still good days. But listen, thank you so much for taking the time. I've been looking forward to this because, like I said, I watch you, I've seen you, and I'm like, boy, she's sharp, and I really wanted to get you on the show. I'm glad we were able to work out the logistics.
I'm coming back, Chip. Don't worry about it.
You heard her, ladies and gentlemen. Turn your radio up. You heard her. She said she's coming back, and I really appreciate you being with us tonight. And I look forward to seeing you and talking with you more in the future. And before you go, if there's anything on your agenda, if there's anything you want to get out, if there's anything we can help you with here, all you have to do is reach out and let me know, and we will take care of it. I promise you that.
Look, I am going to take you up on that commitment. And look, the next time we talk, we'll be talking about the details of our infrastructure plan. How about that?
I like it. Ladies and gentlemen, Toni Williams, the Superintendent of Education for Memphis and Shelby County Schools. Toni, thank you so much for the conversation. I look forward to talking to you soon.
All right. Have a blessed one.
You too. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Toni Williams, ladies and gentlemen. Boy, I tell you what, a lot of passion in that conversation. She cares about these young people and cares about the future of these young people and the future of education here. Doing a great job, in her position right now. I'm really happy to have had a conversation with her this evening. It was very insightful and very educational for me as well. We're going to take our final break of the night. And when we come back, speaking of education, we're going to talk to a young man who is just downright smart, and he just won a major scholar award. We'll tell you all about it on Real Talk Memphis on this Monday evening. I hope you're having a good time. I am myself. We'll take our final break, and we'll be right back.
If you like Real Talk, here's a way you can get involved. Do you have a show topic idea or suggestion? Want to be considered a guest or have a guest idea? Then send Chip a message on his Real Talk show page and you can be a part of the Real Talk experience. So as he always says, go out and tell somebody. We'll be right back.
Support for WIXR comes from Mad Grocer. Located in the central atrium of Crosstown, Mad Grocer features grocery staples and other finds and serves daily specials, deli sandwiches, fresh take and bake items, and more. Open Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Programming on WYXR is brought to you by a grant from Arts Memphis, who has been working behind the scenes for 60 years to support and amplify arts events, programs, and experiences that together make a more vibrant and accessible Memphis arts scene.
I'm DJ Alpha Whiskey, host of Flight Risk, and you're listening to WYXR 91.7 FM. As a nonprofit community radio station, we rely on the generosity of donors like you to keep your favorite programming on the airwaves. Become a contributing listener today at wyxr.org/donate.
Get Real Talk on the TuneIn mobile app under WYXR, and he's now streaming live on Facebook. And you can also catch a rebroadcast on YouTube. Just put WYXR in the search box and hit subscribe. Now back to more Real Talk with Chip Washington.
And welcome back to Real Talk Memphis on this Monday evening. Chip with you. And, when I was in school, I was good at a few things, but not so good at a few more things. And one of the things I was never that great in is science. Well, my next guest didn't have that problem. There was a recent talent search, a science talent search that was authored by the folks at Regeneron. And one of our own students here in Memphis and Shelby County was recently named as a scholar in the Regeneron Science Talent Search. His name is Evan Wu, and Evan joins us tonight as well. And Evan, first of all, congratulations to you, young man. This is quite a feat, quite an accomplishment. You go to MUS, am I correct? Memphis University School?
That's correct.
And you are a senior?
Yes, sir.
So how did you decide that you wanted to be involved in this? First of all, has science always been something that you've enjoyed, a passion of yours? I mean, how did you, get involved in all of this?
I was more of a math guy before, but I became interested in biology in my 9th grade biology class. And that's how I got into genetic code. And my ultimate research topic was on tRNA, something in genetics.
Wow, that is the seeing now. For most of us, especially like me, it's like woof right over my head in terms of what you're doing here. But obviously, it takes a bit of a brain. We also have with us Allie Stifel, and Allie is the director of the Science Talent Search for Regeneron. And Allie, it's great to see you, and great to have you joining us this evening. Tell us a little bit about the parameters of all of this. I mean, what do you look for when students are, when you're looking for students to award in terms of science?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thanks so much for having me and for celebrating your scholar in his hometown.
Yep.
The Science Talent Search has been around since 1942. We're kind of the original science competition out there, but we don't just look for good science. We also are looking for the STEM leaders of the future, which Evan clearly is one of those if he's made it through our very rigorous application process. It's an online application, so high school seniors across America are welcome to apply. You have to have a research project, but we take transcripts, test scores, they write essays, all of that. It's a lot of work. So really kudos to Evan. And then, we take these applications, we look for signs of strong STEM. You have to know your stuff, but we're also looking for those potential leaders, like who are really going to be the instigators who come up with the next big idea, who lead companies, who lead our government, and these kind of things that will impact all of us in the future. From there, we narrow down the pool to 300, which Evan is one of 300, who receive $2,000 each, and their high schools do too. And then Wednesday, we announced the top 40 finalists who compete for the largest high school academic prize in the United States, for the $250,000 first place prize.
Oh my goodness gracious!
Yeah.
That's really saying something. There's a lot that goes into all of this. So you did mention, and Evan, you did receive a $2,000 prize, right, for this award for this, and the school got $2,000 as well. Is that Allie? Is that because of he came from that school? I mean, how did you go about awarding the school a cash prize as well?
Yeah, So it's really important to give back to the community and to continue this push for STEM, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the idea of putting $2,000 into each school that has a finalist across the country, and that's cumulative, by the way. So if school has more than one, then that racks up pretty fast. So great motivation to get your students to enter. But we want to make sure that Evan, as a role model, a near peer in his community, is not just where it ends, right? We want him to be kind of where it begins and where it continues for students in Memphis at his high school and others. We find in some communities it gets really competitive. Oh, this school had a scholar. We want to have a scholar next year. We love that.
Yeah.
We love people spreading the love and buying equipment that more kids can use. It's all about paying it forward.
So Evan, where do we go from here now? You know, you've won this, and and now you're qualified for the big prize, even a bigger prize. But as far as you're concerned, I mean, you know, where are we taking this? We talk about STEM and we talk about the future. You're a high school senior. Have you already picked what college you want to go to?
Right. I've applied for many colleges, but I haven't gotten the results back yet. So I'm hoping to enter a prestigious college so I can make use of the resources to continue some of the research that I've been doing, because research doesn't only give you like answers, but from those answers you can draw new questions, and those new questions might lead to other questions. So it's like a little bit of a branch from a tree. So I hope the tentative plan is to become a doctor who also conducts clinical research. And I hope to continue researching genetic diseases in the future.
I was going to ask you what kind of doctor did you want to become, but genetics obviously seems to be something that's kind of a passion for you. Would that be fair to say?
I would say so. Even if I become like a doctor, I'm not exactly sure. I'm sure I'll find my calling at some point.
Yeah.
But genetics will always be part of my life because I take that very seriously and I love it. So.
Yeah, obviously you do. Allie, you talked about the STEM program, and we hear a lot about that these days. And I mean, it seems to be the future. It just seems really to be a big part of the future. And a lot of STEM programs I have found, because I've talked to people about this, start with children very, very young, don't they? I mean, this isn't something that is just for, high schoolers or beyond. I mean, this starts at school-age children, right? I'm talking about like elementary school kids. Am I correct?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There are millions of STEM programs out there, and I think everything has its value and its place. That's really the motivating factor for so many students who we work with, we find to be successful. They enter in, there's one thing that sparks their interest, and then that's what they end up studying. Sometimes the rest of their lives, sometimes that's just the pipeline. It's everything from a field trip to your local science museum, to maybe an internship or a speaker coming into the classroom. All of it's really impactful. So that's a challenge I put out to your community. I'm sure there are dozens of amazing programs. Scientists who are out there in Memphis, I know there are a lot of them. Be a mentor, go volunteer, and that's really how you get the ball rolling with a lot of this.
You said earlier that you've been doing this a long time. You the Regeneron folks, you guys have been doing this and sponsoring this for a very, very long time, in terms of that. And it speaks to your commitment as an organization to say, look, you know what, we need to encourage these young people because, the future is bright and we need people that are going to discover things. Now, Evan, I'm not going to ask you, I read the project that you that you turned in and I couldn't pronounce it at all. But it looked like a big deal. But if you had to summarize what it was that you submitted to them that got their attention, how would you describe, what was it, a formula? What was it exactly that you submitted?
Right. So I guess I'll explain what tRNA is first with a quick analogy.
Mm-hmm.
So if you would imagine like a big Lego manual, we would call that DNA.
Okay.
And within that manual, each singular page that contains like an instruction for a Lego structure, we would call that mRNA.
Okay.
And then the structure that you would build, we would call that a protein.
Okay.
And the person building it, following the manual, we would call that the tRNA. Does that make sense?
Kind of, sort of. So if you put all that together, what do you have? What do you get if you put all that together? What is that?
That is what happens in protein synthesis. So basically, how a cell would make a protein, with like an instruction from the DNA, which is what you're made of.
Did it take a lot of work for you to do this? How'd you come up with the concept?
Oh, no. This wasn't my work. My work was more so quantifying tRNA. So the last step, how much of it is that in each tissue?
And that was the end result of what you did. Is that what you're saying?
Right. So I just found a process using like a currently available database that people didn't think could be used to quantify specific. When I say quantify, it just means to find how much of that tRNA like expression. So I just found a different method, a different pipeline.
Allie, when you hear him explain what he just did, and when you saw the project that he did to win this, does it still? I mean, even though you all at Regeneron are experts in what you do, but when you see and hear from some of these young people, some of the projects that they submit to you for consideration, does it still blow your mind a bit? I mean, in terms of just how smart these kids are today?
Every single year. And I think what really strikes me, like you hear Evan talk and he's so passionate about the work that he's
very
done.
much so, yes.
Yeah, that's what we would classify as kind of basic research, like you're studying the tools of life, right, Evan? So we have students who study that kind of very into the science of it, all the way to students, speaking about a student earlier today who studied bats because that's what was in their community to study. So students are really finding what their passions are, and that's what usually drives a really good project and application, or really what opportunities they had to do research. And at Society for Science, which is the nonprofit that actually runs the science talent search that I work for, we get to see students kind of come up with ideas from the beginning and carry them forward for many years and decades sometimes, which is really cool. But every year it's amazing.
Well, I gotta be honest. This has really been fun for me. I really and Evan, congratulations, man. I mean, we're very proud of you here in Memphis, because you're from Memphis, man. That's what it's all about, and we appreciate that. And congratulations, and I know that whatever you do in the future, you'll be a tremendous success. So, congratulations on this award, man. Really glad for you, and glad you came on the show tonight. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
And Allie, thank you for all that you all do to inspire these young minds. We really appreciate you and all the folks over at Regeneron for what you do to inspire so many. And as the director of the Science Talent Search, kudos, job well done for you as well.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing the spotlight with those who deserve it, like Evan. We love to see that.
Thank you both for being on the show. You all have a great evening and take care. Best of luck down the road and in the future. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. You too.
All righty. Ladies and gentlemen, that puts a cap on a great show tonight. Man, I tell you what, we have some talent in this city in all shapes and forms and sizes, and really appreciate those two rounding things out. And as Bryn plays us out tonight, this has been a nice comeback. We really appreciate coming back this evening, and after an unplanned week off. And we hope that you enjoyed our guest, and we hope that you enjoyed the show. We hope that you enjoyed the information. And as always, I appreciate you, tuning in and checking us out. And if we're doing a good job and you like what you hear and you like what you see, you know what? Go out and tell somebody. Really, go out and tell somebody what we're doing and say, hey, have you checked out that show, Real Talk Memphis, with that gracious host, Chip Washington? If not, you should do so. How about that, huh? Well, listen, for all of us here at Real Talk Memphis, I want you to be safe out there. I want you to be careful out there as always. And if the Lord says so, we'll be back here next week with another show, and we'll try to do it just a little bit better. So for all of us here at Real Talk Memphis, for Nicole, for Lola, for Brand, I'm Chip. Y'all be careful, be safe, and until next time, we are out.